Now, one of the concepts we learned about the demand curve was the concept of a change in quantity demanded, which is caused by a change in the price of the good itself. So when the price changes from P0, when the price falls from P0 to P1, the quantity demanded will increase from Q0 to Q1 and is reflected as a movement along the demand curve. Right? So this is a concept known as a change in quantity demanded. Now let's compare this or contrast this with a change in demand. Now they sound very similar, right? Change in quantity demanded and a change in demand, right? Now a change in demand is caused by the non-price determinants of demand. The prices of related goods, which could be substitutes or complements, income, taste and preferences, and expectations, and also population size. Right, so all these the changes in these non-price determinants, right, will result in a change in demand and is reflected as a shift of the demand curve. So note the difference between change in demand and change in quantity demanded. Okay, and this also applies to these two concepts also applies to the supply curve as well, right? So if we look at the supply curve, right, we can distinguish between a change in the quantity supply, right, which is caused by a change in the price of the good, and it's shown as a movement along the supply. And change in supply is caused by changes in the non-price determinants of supply. Okay. And is reflected as a shift of the supply curve. Okay, so next thing. Market equilibrium. It occurs where the quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied. And graphically it's shown it's at the point of intersection between the demand and the supply curve. So if there is a change in demand and supply, meaning if there is a shift in the demand curve or the supply curve, this will result in a change in the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity. Okay. So just a very simple example of a change in the equilibrium. Right? So in this case, this is a market for cars. If there's an increase in the income, the demand curve will shift to the right. And the effect would be that the equilibrium price will increase and the equilibrium quantity will also.
Jeremy got take blazer for me. You got blazer?
Those of you who are not interested to listen to the lecture, could you kindly leave the lecture theatre and don't disturb those who want to listen? I know that some of you feel that revision is not important to you, right? You probably are able to score an A already. If that's the case, please do not disturb those people who want to listen and either keep quiet or kindly leave the lecture theatre. So if you want to listen, please go now. If you want to stay here, then keep quiet. Okay, so you should know how to analyze a change in market equilibrium, right? If there is a shift in either the demand curve or the supply curve, right? Okay, let's move on now to the next chapter, next lecture topic, and that's on elasticity. Okay, so three types of elasticity that we covered. The first is price elasticity, which measures how much the quantity demanded will change, okay, for a given change in the price of the good itself. Okay, and this is the formula: change in Q over Q divided by change in Q over T. Okay. formulas will not be given, so you have to memorize or remember all the formulas. Okay, now to prevent confusion, right? Remember to take the absolute value, right? So when you want to analyze the price elasticity, always take the absolute value, meaning ignore the negative sign. Right? If you want to include the negative sign, many times you will get confused as to what is elastic and what is inelastic, right? So if you want to consider the absolute value of the price elasticity, right? This table will show the different categories of price elasticity. Right? So this is based on the absolute value of the price elasticity. So remember the different categories. Okay. Okay. Now, next we look at the factors that affect the price elasticity of demand. Firstly, is the closeness of substitutes. Right? So the closer the substitutes, the more elastic is the demand. Secondly, is proportion of income spent on the good. So greater the proportion of income spent, the more elastic is the demand. And lastly is the time to adjust to price changes. So the more time that is given, price and demand becomes more elastic. Now do not confuse yourself between factors affecting elasticity of demand and the non-price determinants of demand. Right? So note there's a difference between the two. So read the question properly. Okay, are they asking for factors determining elasticity, or is it non-price determinants of demand? There's a tendency for students to mix the two up together. Right? So be careful, read the question properly. Alright? Now, there is also a relationship between price elasticity and total revenue, right? Where total revenue is the price multiplied by quantity, right? So, just to summarize, okay, if the seller wants to increase total revenue, he should increase the price if the demand is elastic, but increase price if the demand is inelastic. Okay, next we move on to the cross elasticity of demand, okay, which measures the responsiveness of demand for a good given a change in the price of a related good, right? So in cross elasticity, we are comparing two goods. How the change in price of one good will affect the quantity demanded from another good, right? And for two goods X and Y, sorry, there's a typo here, right? This should be EXY, right? It's the percentage change in the quantity demanded for good X divided by the percentage in the price of good Y, right? So looks at the change in the quantity of one good when the price of another good changes. Okay, and by calculating the cross elasticity, right, you can determine what is the relationship. What's the relationship like between two goods? Okay, whether they are substitutes, complements, or they are unrelated to one another. And then we have income elasticity of demand, which measures the responsiveness of demand to when there is a change in income, right? And this is the formula. Okay, and by calculating income elasticity of demand, you can classify the good as to whether it's an inferior good or a normal good. And if it's a normal good, is it a necessity or is it a luxury good? Right? So if it's a normal good, you should state both normal good as well as other necessity or luxury, right? So both should be stated, right? So in the next topic, markets in action, we learned about price controls, right? Price ceilings and price floors, as well as the effects of a sales tax. Okay, so very quickly, just to review, a price ceiling is the maximum price allowed by the government, and to be effective, it must be set below the equilibrium price. Okay. So PC here is the price limit. It's also known as the maximum price. For a price floor, is the minimum price allowed by the government, and to be effective, is set above the equilibrium price, IP level.
我这些我们应该都懂，只是后面的他不懂。我知道是哪一个他的 level。
Okay, sales tax. Now, a sales tax will increase the firm's cost of production, and therefore it results in a leftward